Imagine your father disappears, and for the next 5 years, you believe he's dead. You grieved him, you moved on. And then after 5 years, your father goes to a police station alive and says, I believe I may be a missing person. Yes, this actually happened. His name is John Darwin, and in 2002, John lived with his wife, Anne, near Hartlepool in England. His wife reported him missing. Police searched the coastline. Rescue teams searched the sea, but they couldn't find John. And eventually, John's canoe washed up on the beach. And suddenly, it looked like he had drowned. An investigation followed, and eventually, an inquest recorded an open verdict. John was treated as dead. And for the next 5 years, his wife Anne lived as a grieving widow. But here's where the story gets crazy. Because John wasn't dead. He was alive. And according to the evidence that later emerged, he and his wife Anne had actually planned the whole thing. Apparently, they were dealing with serious financial problems, and the plan was to fake John's death just so they could get insurance money. And it worked. Insurance companies paid out. Anne receives hundreds of thousands of pounds in various payments. But there's something that makes the story even more disturbing. Their two sons actually believed their father was dead. Imagine that. Your own mother grieving beside you while your father is secretly alive. For years, John maintained hidden. And then eventually, the couple tried to build a new life in Panama. But then, in December 2007, John walked up to a police station in London, 5 years after disappearing, and he claimed he had amnesia. He said he couldn't remember where he'd been. At first, his sons were simply shocked that their father was still alive, but investigators weren't convinced. Something wasn't right. And then a photograph appeared. It showed John and Anne together in Panama, dated 2006. Think about that for a second. John was supposed to have died in the year 2002. But here he was, smiling beside his wife, 4 years later in Panama. And here's the craziest part. The photograph wasn't discovered by some genius detective. Apparently, a member of the public had searched online John, Anne, and Panama, and the picture popped up. She sent it to the authorities and the media carries the story. Anne eventually admitted that the photograph was really her and John. And the truth came out. John hadn't drowned. He had staged his own death, and his wife helped maintain the lie. They had convinced the insurance companies, the police, the authorities, and even their own sons that John was dead. Anyways, John eventually pleaded guilty to fraud, and in 2008, he was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in prison. His wife Anne was also convicted for her part in the deception and was sentenced to 6 years and 6 months, that is 6.5 years in prison. But honestly, I think the craziest part of this story isn't that John has faked his death. It's that he actually managed to disappear while living under the noses of people who thought he had died. And eventually, what brought the whole thing down wasn't some sophisticated investigation. It was one photograph on the internet. Think about that.